Well, thank you, Chairman. I keep asking my colleagues, what's it going to take? What's it going to take before we work together to make sure the border remains secure no matter the occupant at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue? When I started working as a staffer in the United States Senate shortly after September 11th, and a group of visa overstayers murdered nearly 3,000 Americans, I thought surely Republicans and Democrats could agree that we should close the loopholes that allowed 19 foreign terrorists to game our immigration system. But the Democrats were only interested in amnesty. The loopholes remained. During then President Obama's administration, I want you to hear this, under President Obama's administration, after surges of unaccompanied alien children and families crossed our southwest border illegally, the president, along with then Secretary Jay Johnson, asked Congress to close certain loopholes that allowed those surges. Democrat president. House Republicans passed a fix, but Democrats in Congress wouldn't come to the table to do what the president of their party had requested. The loopholes remained. When President Trump called for additional legislative tools to help secure the border during his first administration, our Democrat colleagues refused to work with us to help the president. The loopholes remained. And even after the Biden-Harris administration unleashed the largest mass illegal immigration in United States history, our Democratic colleagues refused to fix the statutory loopholes that they were abusing to allow and incentivize that mass illegal immigration to occur that resulted in the deaths and destruction of thousands of American people and the flow of fentanyl into our communities. Tens of millions of illegal aliens later, after thousands of Americans were murdered or otherwise violently victimized by illegal alien border crossers, the loopholes still remained. 3 years ago, this committee mobilized to pass the critical border security components in H.R. 2, the Secure the Border Act, leading to its passage on the House floor, bringing different corners of the Republican conference together to codify common sense border security. We did it then, and we can do it today. Our nation's future depends on it. I suspect that today, my Democrat colleagues will once again refuse to support common sense statutory changes to secure the United States border. And again, I want to clarify, statutory changes. That is to make permanent changes, irrespective of who occupies the White House. But my GOP colleagues cannot lose focus. We must ensure that border security is not a byproduct of whoever is elected to the presidency. President Trump has succeeded where none other has even tried. He's done so using nearly every available statute and administrative authority. He has done so despite constant rhetoric from open borders advocates, including my Democratic colleagues in Congress. He's done so because that's what he promised the American voters he would do. But the president only has so many tools at his disposal. And the statutory loopholes that were present decades ago and during the Biden administration remain today. Meaning that when President Trump's administration's actions to secure the border go away, the border could once again be abused. Today, we consider the Permanent Trump Secure Border Act, which closes statutory loopholes that allow the Biden-Harris administration to flood our country with millions of illegal aliens. Title I enshrines statutorily the changes that the Trump administration made to asylum law and policy by regulation and other executive action. The changes include additional criminal bars to asylum, a requirement that the alien claim fear at a port of entry, an increase of the credible fear standard to deter frivolous claims, and reining in immigration and federal courts' abuse of asylum grounds like, quote, particular social group, end quote. Title II clarifies in statute that the DHS secretary must remove or detain illegal aliens who arrive at the border or place them into a remain in Mexico type program. There would be no other options. The aliens cannot be paroled or otherwise released into the United States unless an immigration court grants the alien's asylum claim or other immigration benefit claim. If an administration refuses to follow the law, state attorneys general have standing to sue under these provisions. Title II also allows the DHS secretary to suspend the entry of aliens at the border to gain operational control. Title III helps end mass unaccompanied alien children migration. It requires that current law regarding unaccompanied alien children from Mexico and Canada be applied to children from other countries. This means that UACs from non-contiguous countries will be screened for trafficking or a fear of return, and if none is found, will be sent home and reunited with their family in their home country. Title III will help disincentivize parents to pay violent smuggling cartels to transport their children across the border, and it will reduce the exploitation of UACs once in the United States. Title IV closes the so-called Flores Settlement Agreement, that loophole that has for many years prevented families who cross the border illegally from being detained for the pendency of their immigration court proceedings. As many know, the number of real and fake family units illegally crossing the border skyrocketed over the last decade because these aliens knew they will be promptly released once they get to the United States. Title V puts visa overstay, currently a civil infraction, on par with illegal entry as a misdemeanor crime and increases penalties for overstay. I will remind people how I introduced this statement, that it was overstays that attacked the towers on 9/11. Finally, Title VI helps end the abuse of immigration parole. Over the years, administrations of both parties have abused statutory authority to allow classes and other large numbers of aliens not otherwise admissible to the United States to enter and remain in the country indefinitely. This despite the purpose of the provision to be case by case. The Biden-Harris administration took such abuse to the extreme, creating several illegal categorical parole programs and paroling into the United States at least 2 million illegal aliens. I just want everybody to remember what was happening. You can build a wall from the Gulf of Mexico to the Pacific Ocean, and I support constructing barriers and support such a wall, but you can do that, and if you open the doors wide open to the abuse of parole and asylum, then it does you no good. President Trump has rightly ended that practice. Title VI brings the use of immigration parole back to its intended purpose to allow a foreign national to enter the United States for an emergency purpose for a short period of time, like a surgery or getting access to some family member or something that's an emergent case-by-case issue. Americans deserve an administration that is interested in securing the border. In January 25, they got that. They also deserve a Congress willing to do the hard work to ensure the next president can't unilaterally open that border. Kayla Hamilton's family deserves that. Laken Riley's family deserves that. Jocelyn Nungary's family deserves that. Rachel Marin's family deserves that. Sheridan Gorman's family deserves that. And to that end, I urge my colleagues to support the Permanent Trump Secure Border Act.
Representative Chip Roy opens his remarks by asking a rhetorical question: what's it going to take? That question immediately establishes frustration and signals that, in his view, the United States has repeatedly failed to permanently secure the southern border because Congress has not enacted lasting legislative reforms. To support that argument, Roy takes viewers back more than 2 decades to the aftermath of the September 11th terrorist attacks. He reminds the committee that several of the hijackers had entered the United States legally but remained in violation of immigration rules. By bringing up one of the darkest moments in American history, Roy attempts to connect immigration enforcement with national security, suggesting that weaknesses in the immigration system have had devastating consequences before and could do so again.